I'm glad to welcome back to the meeting house here in the Buzz my son Ike Moody.
Hi there.
We've been talking throughout the whole tour about your artwork, and tonight we have a piece of somebody that we know very well. This is a young man that we call Woodstock, and his mother, Ma Safel as we call her, called me to tell me that he had died. Do you remember me calling you with that information?
I do. I was in, I had been for 1 week in a place called Recovery on Chestnut, and I had just spent a week with Woodstock in Silver Springs, Maryland, with him and his family. I returned from Silver Springs, came back to Lexington, where I relapsed. This was 2016, and immediately checked into a place called Recovery on Chestnut Street in Louisville, Kentucky. And I think I was there a week. I think a total of 10 days had passed since I had seen Woodstock. And you called me with that news. And I just remember being so grateful that I was in a safe place, you know. Woodstock, of course, was the best friend of my life, my compatriot, my soul brother, who the mystery put in my life the first year of my 98-month prison sentence. Fast forward all those years, June 16th, 2016 was the day he passed away. I knew I could go either way still at that time, you know, and it was still a couple more years before I really rounded the corner on recovery. And but it was a big motivator for me to lose yet another, and this time so close to me.
You were in recovery on Chestnut in 2016. Was that your first experience with recovery?
No. No. It was not.
What number was it?
I stopped keeping track. You know, I'm sure I'm in the double digits with respect to how many times I've been to rehab. The first time I went was January 2015. I had 2 overdoses. We spoke about this in the last interview. I had 2 overdoses and checked in to a place called the Healing Place, January 2015, and had a really wonderful experience for 4 months. But figuring out all the spokes on the wheel for me, of the spokes of the wheel of recovery, took some time. You know, I feel like I really had to learn the hard way for whatever reason. I'm just so grateful that I survived, honestly, and you know, that I am now today able to look back and able to share with people, for instance, and I do want to come back to this in a second, but fast forward from that moment I found out that Woodstock had passed away to the multiple times I went to rehab. All the people in my life that were supportive, including my better half, my mom, my sister, my brother, and other people there for me. I am now today actually teaching art in the substance abuse program at the state prison. So it's like a dream come true, yeah. Yeah.
When did the recovery actually start working in your life?
Well, I think the very first time I went in 2015, I saw the light, man. But, you know, there's a process and there's a step in the 12 steps. It's step 4. It's where you make a searching and fearless moral inventory. I just wasn't there yet. You know what I mean? Like, I have forgotten more stuff than I even remember at this point, you know. Years and years of just stuff. I mean, you're talking 10 years of prison, 10 years in the streets. There are so many moments of compromise when you're enslaved by addiction. You know, the things we trade off for the next one, you know, it's hard to work through. So getting to a point where I was really ready and willing to be honest with myself, be honest with somebody else, and move forward and put it behind me, it took a while. You know, I wanted it, but I just wasn't ready, you know. And sometimes people say things like, you know, they talk about your bottom, well, have you hit your bottom, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what this painting behind me refers to, is that the bottom just keeps dropping. You know, you can see in this where my foot, and this is a reflection of my years in the street after incarceration. And you can see where my foot goes off the bottom, down bottom, but then as a result of that suffering, of the bottom keep dropping, you can see that my toe comes back around holographically and dips itself in the water. And I just wanted, that's like a nod to something magical that happens as a result of the pain, you know? I mean, I wouldn't be here had I not had all that stuff happen, you know? And it's now for me, you know, what I try to do is to reflect upon the mistakes that I made and the compromises that happened in my life, and the people I hurt and the people that hurt me. I try to reflect on it, like not be wounded or not be attached to it in a wounded sort of way, but to allow it to help me try to become wise, you know, to learn from it. And changing my perspective on my past in that sense, like, okay, I don't have to be this wounded person, this traumatized person hanging on to this identity of somebody who screws up all the time or struggles with addiction or does all this ridiculous stuff. You know, I don't have to own this perspective. What I need to do is look at it and learn from it, and that's where I'm at today. You know, getting back to this piece, just to bring you on the page, it is a 22 by 30 mixed media work on paper on Bristol vellum. This is like my standard size commission. So if a person wanted to commission me, this is what you'd get, like this size, unless we talked about something else, like a painting. As far as my works on paper, this is a standard size. It's ink and acrylic. There are elements in here. Woodstock was a writer. So this symbol down here, where it's this, you know, the dot, 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 that's called an ellipse, I believe. Yes. So he wrote all day, every day. He was always writing, and just poetry and letters and just whatever, man.
I remember some of your artwork features entire letters that he wrote.
Yeah.
Just full of script.
Well, after we were separated, you know, we were in prison together. We lived in that, what amounts to a bathroom with bunk beds.
Yeah.
We were together in that situation for 6.5 years, and then we were separated. He finished his federal time. I went on to stay there, and we exchanged letters. He would write to and send it to his mother. His mother would then redirect it to me. And he was such a great writer. I would transcribe his letters onto bigger paper and then draw a picture of him with it on there. I mean, I loved that guy. You know, I mean, truly. And I don't think I'll ever know anybody like I knew him. I mean, you would have to live with me for 6 years in a little tiny
in a bathroom
cell.
with 2 bunks.
Yeah. I mean,
who would want to do that? And this piece.
Lots of people, hopefully. I don't know.
This piece.
So
what characteristic of Woodstock?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like what's it representing?
Yeah, I mean, what is it about Woodstock that you have captured in this piece?
Okay, because Woodstock kept it funky, and that's what this represents. So I'd be in the cell stressing out about the fact that I owed the store guy $200 for getting 2-for-1s on Oreo cookies and and like meat sticks and stuff, you know. And I'd be like, how am I going to pay for this? And
Yeah, I remember those phone calls
yeah,
to me.
right. Like, oh,
I
so
need
smart.
money.
Yeah, well, he turned to me and he said, Ike, listen, the only thing that matters here, man, is that we get through this. Don't worry about that. It's nothing in the big scheme of things. We'll figure it out. He was just there for me like that, you know. And of course, you were there. You had my back on things if things got desperate. You know, you were always there on the other line, man. And but Woodstock introduced me to so much. He was much more, he had a lot more experience than I did with music. The Grateful Dead, Parliament Funkadelic. And he introduced me to what is my favorite word, which is which he was introduced to on the cover of a Parliament Funkadelic album called. The word is entelechy. That's Entelechy, entelechy, and it means, the definition of that is the supposed natural force which propels all things to actualize their potential. And I thought, that's cool. The name of the album was Funk Entelechy versus the Placebo Syndrome. And I'm like, I can dig it, you know? So like, his presence allowed me to be myself as much as I could be in a place where everybody has masks on. It's very kind of primitive, tribalistic, siege mentality 24/7 in prison, where you're constantly in a psychological state of hypervigilance. To have a presence in your life that helps you make light of that and helps you remember who you are was priceless, you know? And
this is the man who did that.
this is him saying like this, Ike, relax. Yeah, so, yeah.
We have a bigger piece of the Woodstock over there, which we had looked at in an earlier stop on this Tangle Tour.
Yeah.
This is 7 conversations we've had.
It's gone really well.
It's gone really well. Your art is terrific.
Thanks.
And I appreciate you traveling with me on this Tangle Tour. It's been good for me.
Yeah.
It's been good for you.
Mm-hmm.
The art is terrific. Now, what's your next stop?
I'm so glad you asked that question. No, I don't really have any big plans, but
I think you do.
Well, so I'm going to Bisbee, Arizona, and I'm studying with, like, so if I'm Luke Skywalker, I'm going to visit Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I see.
So he lives on a 65-acre ranch.
I thought I was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No, I don't know who. I don't know who you'd be in that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I'm going to study art with him. He's an 80-year-old oil master who lives on a 65-acre ranch in the Chiricahua Mountains, 20 miles north of the Mexican border in central Arizona. It's a dream come true for me. I've gone to visit him one time, and I stayed for 6 weeks. That was 5 years ago. I'm returning now, and I'm going to stay for 2 months, and I'm hoping to make it a more regular thing. Things like this are possible when you're not high.
Yeah.
You know,
Lots of good things
yeah.
are possible when you're not high.
Yeah.
You're going to take all your art with you.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to be a terrific experience.
We're going to have a show out there in Bisbee, and I'm already getting calls and opportunities for things out in Portland and you know,
well,
I'm
God
open to
bless
whatever.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
May you stay sober and sane, and may it all be a blessing to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.